The beginnings of what? Of my life? 1993, right, you're close. Yeah, I started, I did a soap opera called As the World Turns, and that was my first paying job when I was 13. No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's something that you really have to want to do and love to do more than anything else, and be ready to, you know, work really hard at it. It's not an easy job to break into. But I grew up in upstate New York, in the northern part of New York State, and all of a sudden one day I was watching a movie and I saw this actress and I said, how do I get to do that? And my mother had been a model and my dad had done some acting. So I went into New York and he introduced me to his old agent, and I started working with them, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Television is a much faster pace, so it's a little bit actually more grueling than doing film, because film you have 2 hours, there's a start and a finish, and with television it's a little bit more challenging actually, because you have several episodes that go on, a character that goes on, and you're not sure how it's going to start or finish, so it's more of a longer ongoing creative process. With a movie you have point A to point B and you know where your character's going, and you have more time to really just kind of relax into the role. With TV it's a really fast pace, and you know, you're doing 10 pages of dialogue a day, and it's, you know, it's a lot faster. Is that shut? Oh, it is shut. Okay. Loud out there. How did I get the role? Well, I auditioned like anybody else. I think they said they auditioned, I don't know, thousands of women worldwide. And I just felt like I was really right for the role. I'd always loved Robert Patrick's performance in T2. I thought he was wonderful and completely devoid of any human traits, which was very, very challenging. And I just started, as my dad called it, the Olympics were also on that summer. So I was doing like my own personal Olympics for this role. I was, you know, training and doing whatever I could, and I had probably about, I don't even remember, maybe 5 auditions to get the job. Yeah, so they had lots of different movement that they wanted me to do, and, you know, my physicality and all of these different things. So I guess, you know, my height, I guess I had the look that they wanted. I'm very active and outdoors, into sports, that type of thing. So it was all right, I think, for the role. No, I'm not. I've done, like you say, 2 adaptations, and then with Terminator they created a video game from my character, so I guess they adapted it for me. But no, I'm not a gamer. Well, I'm an equestrian. I grew up riding, so the horses are a great love and a great part of my life regardless. So that's easy. The sword work was something, I also did a film called Dark Kingdom or Die Nibelungen, I don't know, it had many different names. And I did a lot of, that was a medieval role film. I played Queen Brunhild of Iceland, and we also did a lot of big sword and axe and shield and spear, lots of types of different fighting. So I had trained pretty extensively for that film, and by the time BloodRayne came around, it was after that, and so I felt like I had a pretty good, done the groundwork for fencing and that type of thing, so I knew the basics. And with Dungeon Siege, the training was quite different for that film, because I live in the forest with my band of women, and I go down on these vines and kind of use vines as my tool or my weapon. So that training was with the Cirque du Soleil troupe, and a lot of acrobatics And Tony Ching, who did House of Flying Daggers, was our second unit director. So we did a lot of really cool lyrical wire work. So each role dictates a different kind of training. Have you met Uwe?
No.
Yeah, you can't help but love Uwe Ball. I mean, you just can't. He's such a great guy. He's so genuine. He's he's very loyal. He's very caring. He's just he's funny. He's a good person, and he's very relaxed on set, and he really gives you the freedom to create what you want. And anybody who stands up to his worst critics in a boxing ring, I gotta say, I think that's pretty cool. So he's a little unorthodox, and I like that about him.
Okay.
Sure. Painkiller Jane was a really fun, laborious job for me. I wore two hats. I was also co-executive producer, as well as the star, and it was an overall wonderful experience. I really got to have complete creative control. I mean, I was the only on-set creative producer, so all the questions came through me. And it was grueling. It was, long 15-hour days for over 8 months. We shot in 2 different countries. We shot in Vancouver, and we also shot in Budapest. And I loved the character. I loved the comic book. I fell in love with the comic book. And Jimmy Palmiotti, who created the character of Jane, I think she's this wonderfully flawed, reluctant hero who's kind of wondering, why me? Why is all of this happening to me? And she's a little rough around the edges. Maybe she drinks a little too much. Maybe she doesn't go about doing things the right way. But she's a real human character that's having an unhuman problem. And I think people will actually be able to relate to her. Not really. I think the fantasy world picked me. But I've had a lot of fun doing it. I think as a child, of course, you have a big imagination and you create all of these stories in your head. Well, I kind of never stopped, and I've always let my imagination run wild. So I've had a lot of fun playing these out there characters that really, there are no limitations as to what you can create. And so for me, that's really fun. But it's not solely what I want to be doing. I've also been doing some other projects that are very different, like the L Word. That was a totally different type of character. I've produced my first independent feature last year called Lime Salted Love, which is a very human-driven story about 3 young people in LA and dealing with childhood traumas that shape who they are and their sexuality as adults. It's a very provocative, very dark film. I've got another film that I'm collaborating with my father, actually, who's a screenwriter, and this is more of a politically based film dealing with the immigration crisis that we're having in the U.S. Every country has their own immigration crisis, so I think it'll appeal to the masses. I do. I think as long as the work is good and it's what you want to be doing, I mean, for me, the most important thing is to be able to go home at the end of the day and be honest and truthful with myself and love what I'm doing. I mean, I couldn't do something for the money or for, I wouldn't want to, I couldn't sell out. It's just not in my heart, and I've worked too long and hard to get to where I am to have to do anything that I don't really want to do. So the size and the scale of the project doesn't really matter to me. It's the content that really makes the difference. It's been great. I've been actually really surprised at how big the festival has seemed, and the support and the turnout for the screenings. And we've seen some very interesting films. And I've been having a lot of fun. It's been really fun to be on the jury and watch the films and talk to the people and get everybody's different opinion. And so it's been very fulfilling. And the town's darling. I wish there was snow.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought all of my ski equipment from LA, and there's no snow. So I'm a little bummed about that.
We are
I'll
sorry,
get over
but
it. But other than that, it's been. I heard there's a spot about 20 kilometers away.
5
that I could go-
70
Yeah, with this much snow. Oh well, I'm determined. I'm going to go skiing somewhere. So. Well, they need a woman in there. They do. I mean, thank God they've got one. So I had no idea who was going to be on the jury, what to expect. I had no idea. So I think it's good that they have a female's input in there, and maybe I'll bring a little heart to it. I don't know.
movies.
I don't think I should take anything really too seriously. I play dress-ups for a living, so that doesn't really say a lot about the serious aspect of my life. But I do take it seriously in the sense of, I can't speak about my opinions on the films and that sort of thing. And obviously, I'm going to be, at all of the screenings and, do as much as I can to make an educated decision. Yeah, it was great. I think it was a great turnout, and everybody seemed very positive. Unfortunately, the projection was really dark, and I don't know what was
it's very
happening.
dark
Yeah, it doesn't look like that normally. And the sound seemed to be a little off, but aside from that, I think the support was great, and I think people will really like the show. It's a good, solid, entertaining show, and the characters go on a really wild journey. It's the best way to describe it. I actually didn't even know they were screening it last night. Nobody told me
At
until
midnight?
my father told me back in the hotel when it was like 11:45. So we ended up having to get one of the drivers to drive us around. We went to 3 different screenings before we found it. So it's the first time I've never actually been told about my own screening, which I think is very interesting. But I made it in the end.
You have the midnight permission.
Yeah, exactly.